Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm sorry we're a couple minutes late, as you know how things go. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're really excited to have you here with us for our big announcement. My name is Kendall Hershey. I'm a social media manager here at NETSCOUT. First of all, we want to give a couple minutes for some folks to join. I know we started a bit late, so we're going to kick it off with a couple of trivia questions, and you can flex your trivia knowledge. Let us buy you a cup of coffee with a $10 Starbucks gift card if you're the first person to answer the trivia question below. We'll contact you after the live stream if you're the winner. So the first question, we're going to start off with a really, really easy one. What does POE stand for? I believe in you guys. You can all do this. For question number 2, we're going to be building on the POE theme. Number 2, what is UPOE? All right, I know it's early for us anyways, depending on where you are, but we're just getting warmed up. Let us buy your next coffee by being the first one to answer this question correctly in the comments below. Question number 3, what does the RJ in RJ45 stand for? And for number 4, we're going to dive into a question about standards. What is the maximum distance allowed for a single cable run according to TIA standards? We're rapid fire here, guys. We're not giving you any breaks this morning. We're going to move on to the very last question. Hang in there with us. Question number 5, what mobile operating system is the most prevalent throughout the world? All right. Thank you all so much. For those of you who participated in the trivia, make sure you comment below if you know the answer to any of those, and we'll contact you if you're the winner. For those of you that are just joining, thank you for being here. We're really excited to be announcing the next big thing in handheld network testing. I have here with me today the Senior Product Marketing Manager for NETSCOUT, Dan Klimke. Hi, Dan. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Kendall. Glad to be here.
Awesome. I know we're here to talk about the next big thing in our lineup of handheld network testers, but first, could you tell the audience a little bit about who NETSCOUT is and what a handheld network tester is?
Sure. You know, we all recognize that today's digital universe is expanding at breakneck speed. And as our dependency on this connected world grows, so too does our vulnerability. If you're the person who's responsible for taking this vast potential of digital transformation and making it work, then we think you are a guardian of this connected world, and NETSCOUT is here to make sure you succeed. As a leader in service intelligence, NETSCOUT's ingenious solutions protect the digital economy by using smart data to solve application, network, and security problems, whether on-premise or in the cloud. But in order to get the visibility you need to do that, you also need the most reliable testing tools available. And our handheld network testing tools are a vital component of NETSCOUT's end-to-end approach to business assurance. And you know, I think it's important for folks to know that we've been in the business of developing tools for testing networks since 1993. And all along, we've had 2 key guiding principles. First, to make the complex simple. And second, the right tool for the job. You know, the color of the tools may have changed, but the people behind them are the same folks that brought the land meter to market in 1993, the original OneTouch in 1996, and the original LinkRunner back in 2002. The latest iterations you can see here.
That's awesome. What an incredible history that we have here leading up to the announcement that we have today. So without further ado, Dan, what are we announcing?
That's right. We're pleased to announce the availability today of LinkRunner G2, the smart tester for the connected world. LinkRunner G2 is a simple, comprehensive Android-based testing platform that improves the effectiveness of network professionals, accelerates device deployments, and connectivity troubleshooting.
Smart tester for the connected world, you know, it's the first of its kind. It's the first in the world, and that's really significant. Why did we decide to call it that?
Well, you know, we've been hearing and talking about digital transformation for years, but now we're seeing the reality of this explosion of connected devices. IoT is the latest buzzword in the world of networking, but for good reason. Analysts like IDC are predicting billions of new connected devices coming online in the next few years. And with the transformative technologies of factory and building automation, we truly are on the verge of this connected world reality.
That's right. You know, the number of connected devices that we have is only increasing, and it's affecting every piece of our lives, whether it's at home or in the office or the way we drive our cars. But how is this affecting our customer?
What we hear from our core customer, the network engineer, is that, just like always, there's too much to do and too little time. They're concerned with how they'll effectively deploy and manage all of these newly connected devices. They tell us they need help to get their jobs done and to help them reduce escalations from their frontline technicians. To effectively deploy, manage, and troubleshoot all of these connected devices, they're going to fundamentally need to take a different approach to network testing. So let's take a look at what is changing in the access layer. First, two key trends. First, the growing number and diversity of connected devices. Take a look at this. In today's digital building, look at all the devices that need network connectivity. Everything from access controls, security systems, HVAC, lighting controls, displays, monitors, you name it. If it's using electricity, it's going to be network connected. Second, speaking of power, remember that not long ago there was speculation that the day of cabling a building for network connectivity was over.
Right.
What with 802.11 wireless LANs, so-called gigabit Wi-Fi, 802.11 AC, why run twisted pair cabling? Well, one word, power. Take a look at this network drop diagram for a new building. About 10% of the drops are for the wireless LAN APs, but look at everything else. 1,100 network drops, all providing power by way of PoE, power over Ethernet. For lighting, window shade controls, occupancy sensors, displays, phones, PCs, network operations is now in the business of delivering not just data, but electricity.
You know, that's right. These are two really key technology changes. You know, the number of stuff that we have connected to the network and the power needed to supply and make those things operate. This must be having a pretty significant impact on not only the IT team, but building operations.
Absolutely. This technology is driving the convergence of IT and OT, operational technologies. This is the network of the future. And network operations plays the primary role in building and managing it and enabling those deployments in the access layer. But with limited resources and tight budgets, these teams need tools that will help them improve their productivity through faster installation, rapid upgrades, and the quick isolation of issues. You know, to achieve that, what we've done is to take our core network test technology as represented by the existing LinkRunner AT, but with deeper diagnostics, and combine that with the Android operating system to create LinkRunner G2. It speeds installation and troubleshooting by combining copper and fiber Ethernet testing with the Android OS and all the apps that can now be run through those wired Ethernet connections. The result is a significant improvement in network operations workflows, faster resolution of trouble tickets, and reduced escalations. But why is this important? Nolan Green, a research analyst with IDC, points out that handheld tools such as NETSCOUT's LinkRunner G2 allow network professionals to shift their focus from reactive tasks to proactively working towards digital transformation. Greater automation allows IT professionals to build the network of the future instead of spending their time solving short-term problems.
That's so right, Dan. Thank you so much for that incredible introduction. You know, the fact that NETSCOUT is bringing an Android-based network tester to the market is significant, and you couldn't have set it up any better for us, Dan. If you have any questions so far or throughout the live stream, feel free to comment below, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, or tweet us at NETSCOUT using the product hashtag LinkRunnerG2. We're going to be doing a live Q&A at the end with the product inventor, James Kokoska. So we'll hear from him in a little bit, but in the meantime, make sure you submit your questions and we'll be answering them throughout the day. We also have a really fun giveaway that we're doing this week as part of our launch festivities. So if you're on Twitter, we want to hear from you. Tweet us the top app you use for work, tagging @NETSCOUT and using the product hashtag LinkRunner G2. We're going to be selecting up to 5 winners for an Amazon Echo at random. You can post as many entries as you'd like. Each tweet will be an entry into the contest, but only 1 app per tweet will count. So obviously one of the most significant things about the announcement of this tester is the fact that you can now leverage app economy and all the apps that you already use for work today. So we want to hear from you, the apps that you're using, so that we can make sure that they are on the tester ready for when you get yours. Now, we've heard a little bit about the tester. You may be wondering how the LinkRunner G2 can streamline and extend your everyday workflow. We're going to watch a quick clip that helps explain this a little bit better, and then we're going to head over to the lab with product manager Lisa Schwartz, who's going to do some hands-on demo for us.
As the world's first Android-based smart network tester, NETSCOUT's LinkRunner G2 represents a breakthrough platform that features a highly efficient and fully optimized workflow that's designed to help IT teams deploy and troubleshoot network services and fix problems faster than ever. With a new form factor and a clean and simple user interface, the LinkRunner G2 is designed to enhance a network technician's productivity like no other handheld network tester. With its enhanced wired Ethernet capabilities for both copper and fiber network link testing, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and combined support of Android apps, the LinkRunner G2 delivers a streamlined workflow enabling network technicians to get their job done from start to finish.
As you can see, it's pretty impressive technology. Now let's take a look at it in action. First, keep in mind that its primary function is still copper and fiber network connectivity testing. So let's take a look at some validation testing and documentation. To get started, I'll optionally set up a folder so that all test results will be automatically saved to it. As you might move from site to site, all test results will be automatically saved to that folder. This eliminates the overhead when I come back to the office at the end of the day and I might want to run some reports. AutoTest will run through a set of core tests that will validate network connectivity from the jack to the outside world and present the full test on a single screen with color-coded pass, marginal fail indications. AutoTest is supported over both copper and fiber. So first you can see that we validated power over Ethernet, then link speed and duplex, switch connectivity, IP address assignment, DNS lookup, gateway router connectivity, and ultimately access to the target address. And then we see the test results successfully uploaded to the included LinkLive cloud service. You can tap on each test to dive into more detail. So now let's take a look at some fun stuff. I'm going to show you some pretty cool capability that will allow you to add additional information to that test result that just automatically uploaded into LinkLive. This is going to take advantage of both core functionality that's in LinkRunner G2 as well as Android apps. I'm going to demonstrate this to you in the form of a user scenario. Let's say that in addition to the test result we just received, you also want to do the following. Document the jack number so you have a record of connection path between jack and switch slot, port, and VLAN, trouble ticket number, print a label of a switch name, associate a network speed test, and scan a QR code. Sound complicated? Impossible even? You won't believe how easy this actually is. I'm going to pull up LinkLive so you can see what test results look like coming into the database and watch these additional pieces of information that I want to associate to that automatically populate and associate to that test result. LinkLive is a cloud-based results management system that supports all of the products in the NETSCOUT handheld network tester lineup, and that includes Link Sprinter, LinkRunner AT, AirCheck G2, and OneTouch. You can have all of your test results in a single location, be it copper, fiber, or wireless. LinkLive is included free with all of our products and supports an unlimited amount of users, testers, and results. First thing we'll do is document the jack and trouble ticket number. I'm going to click on the plus icon to add that comment. And as I type in that piece of information, you'll notice not only did it show up in the result on my tester, but you'll see it also automatically uploaded and appended to that test result in LinkLive. Next, we need to print a label of the switch name. I'm going to go to my test result and just copy the switch name exactly as it's configured on the switch itself. Paste it into my labeling app and print. Now our demo switch is called James, but in the real world you'll have a logical switch name. I'm going to copy the name of the switch. I'm going to go to my label making app and print. Now I want to run a speed test and add that information to my test result. So I'm going to pull up my speed test app. I'm going to run that app. And then I'm going to take a screenshot by pressing and holding my volume down button and my power button. From my drop-down menu, I see my last screen saved, and I'm going to share to my LinkRunner and to my last saved test result. That screenshot will now automatically append to the test result in LinkLive. Last, I need to scan the QR code on the back of the device at the jack location. So I pull up my QR code and barcode scanner app. I use the onboard camera to scan and take a screenshot. And again, I'm going to share that information right into my last test result. The information saved to that barcode was the website address for LinkRunner G2. And let's not forget about the importance of cable test. The LinkRunner G2's TDR capability will give you distance to fault, be it open, short, or split. It'll also show you reversed pairs and crossed pairs. The LinkRunner G2 supports the same WireView adapters you might already be using with your LinkRunner AT or OneTouch. Would love to get some live tweets and feedback, folks. I am going to throw it back to Kendall right now, but I'll be back with a closer look and demo of the Android side of LinkRunner G2.
Thanks so much, Lisa. That was phenomenal. Great first introduction for folks to see what the LinkRunner can actually do. I'm now sitting here with the Chief Product Architect, James Kokoska. How's it going, James?
Good, how about you?
Good. This is such an exciting day. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, you've been watching the industry and the market for decades as you've been designing the handheld network test line here at NETSCOUT. What trends did you see that led to the creation of LinkRunner G2?
Yeah, well, you know, if you roll back to 2014, you could really see that we're becoming a mobile-first society, right? There were a variety of tipping points in trends. Smartphones were replacing, you know, simple single-function flip phones. Mobile video consumption was way up. In fact, apps and streaming were replacing TV channels in a lot of cases, and BYOD was just exploding everywhere, right? People were bringing their personal devices in and often doing work functions on them, such as email. So as adults, we were spending a lot more time, you know, staring at these small vertical handheld screens, and it really starts to influence the expectations that people have on our handheld devices. They expect versatility, they expect multifunctional capabilities. You know, no longer can we just test, we need to support an entire workflow. There's also a lot of standardization in usability, you know, how apps look, how they operate, just the standard practice of title bars and navigation drawers and swiping and pinching and things like that we all just became so accustomed to. It really wasn't appropriate to develop a proprietary user interface anymore. Around that same time, too, it was apparent that it was coming down to a two mobile platform race between Apple and Android.
Right. Yeah, the Apple and Android showdown is definitely one for the ages. So tell us a little bit about why you chose Android.
Well, it had been about 6-7 years since the introduction of the first smartphone, and Android was just really coming of age. Mobile devices were evolving so rapidly. We were kind of a stodgy, single-function test and measurement company, right? It was really difficult to keep up with the pace of these mobile devices. And so, normally we build a tester and then we, put on a couple of additional functions, maybe a file browser or even a limited web browser or something like that. But just the rising expectations of multifunctionality in our handheld devices, we really decided we needed to reverse that. We needed to just turn the model upside down. We needed to basically start by developing a mobile platform, a rugged mobile platform. So we took a quad-core processor, multi-touch screen, added a speaker, mic, volume control, all the sensors, gyro, accelerometer, compass, camera and flash, the things you'd expect. And then we infused a network tester into it. We added an RJ connector, an SFP for fiber connections, a second RJ45 because you ought to be able to test patch cables in a matter of seconds and validate them. It's such a huge part of delivering connectivity. You had cable tests, TDR, toning, wire mapping, things like that. We made it a configurable powered device for PoE. We also made it capable of loading even the newest high-power 4-pair PoE standards that are emerging. Port discovery, so you know what slot port you're plugged into. All the traditional test and measurement things that we've done for decades, we basically infused into this Android platform.
That's great.
We were also able to just sort of leverage this innate knowledge, right? We were all spending hours staring at our screens, right? You only have to go into a public venue to see that, and really we're able to, just people, inherently were knowing how a navigation drawer would come in from the left, or that ellipses means that there's more information to be had there. We were able to leverage a lot of system capability, application management, how you arrange your desktop, the notification system, lock screens, even things we normally would never consider, like accessibility features for colorblind correction came along with Android.
It's really important.
Yeah, and a lot of just table stake functions, calendar, clock, camera, gallery, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth connectivity, things like that. But really the main thing was it just gave us access to pick and choose from this universe of apps. And by and large, we see those apps fall into 3 categories. There's sort of pre and post work things. There's the things you need to do before you test and after you test. So it might be opening a trouble ticket, seeing what you got to do, going to location, performing the test, and then closing the trouble ticket. There's collaboration apps like email and messaging and conferencing that you can use to communicate and escalate things to your peers. But also very important were the applications that were coming online from the network equipment manufacturers. These were largely to install, provision, and troubleshoot the devices that they were selling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one of the things that's incredible about this tool is the access to apps. I remember at one point before launch, obviously, when we were testing it, we actually logged into a WebEx call. And we were like talking to each other through the LinkRunner G2, which is incredible. So one of the things that really extends the workflow for the LinkRunner and extends the value is the access to apps. So say a little bit more about that.
Well, you could see that apps were just impacting our everyday life, right? How you order things, how you shop, how you grab a cab, things like that. And literally every industry was being challenged. And so we felt like to remain relevant, that we needed to sort of embrace this app economy, these millions of developers that were developing apps. What was also interesting was, when we started the program, the apps from the network equipment manufacturers were fairly trivial, maybe something a summer student would do just so you could be cool and say you had an app in the store. What's been amazing over the few years of development has been the sophistication of apps. I mean, literally every device that's connected to the network, be it a camera, an AP, badge access, HVAC, smart power strips, digital signage, even infrastructure, servers, wireless LAN controllers, VMs, things like that, all have very sophisticated apps to control them. And it's interesting to see now, in a lot of cases, the things you can do with the apps actually exceeds what you can do from your laptop. The apps are actually a better way to do your work.
Yeah, it's so true. And one of the things that is also an industry first for this tester is the fact that a wired tester can access mobile applications. So how is that possible? How can we do that?
Yeah, that's kind of a key contribution. Apps were really based on either cellular or Wi-Fi access to the network. But in many cases, the device you're trying to control is on a completely separate management plane. You don't really want a Wi-Fi SSID that your BYOD devices connect to have access to, let's say, your IP surveillance management plane. You don't want to take your personal device and have to fire up a VPN on it just to go out the cellular back into the network that you're standing right next to. So it was really a key innovation that these apps run out the either copper or Wi-Fi port. Really, I don't think the millions of app developers ever thought their apps would be running out fiber or copper.
Yeah, that's so true. And the contribution from a network perspective is also significant. So we've talked a little bit about the market trends that led to the product, a little bit about how the app economy and app culture has contributed to the product. But what about, at the core, it's really still a network tester. That's what, NETSCOUT does, end-to-end network visibility and troubleshooting. What networking trends influence this product design?
Yeah, you're right. First and foremost, we are a network tester, and so besides the rise in mobility and apps, access or edge networks were just also evolving. You started to see the expansion of gigabit switches, creating literally a gigabit, 1,000 megabit switch fabric, throughout the enterprise. So there's this abundance of bandwidth, and onto that came a variety of overlay planes. It started with VoIP. VoIP phones were the first, and then IP surveillance. Right, people weren't pulling coax anymore. They continued to pull Cat5, Cat6 cable, or started to pull Cat5. So these overlay networks using VLANs really meant that a lot of different networks, mission critical to the enterprise, were all running on a single physical network. So along with that, as you started to get these various additional functions put onto the IT network, what was happening in terms of the endpoints was changing also, right? They were requiring more power. And so the physics of delivering power over the existing copper plant and even offloading to the cloud for heavy lifting. So Wi-Fi was taking off for sure, we know that, but during this entire time, gigabit switch port sales have continued to rise into the double digits literally every year. These endpoints are getting more sophisticated. We started out with a simple VoIP phone drawing maybe 4 watts, added a color screen, now it was 6 watts. Then we had APs, 12 watts. Then they added multiple radios, 18 watts. Then IP surveillance came along, cameras, pan, tilt, zoom, with motorized cameras, things like that, that started drawing more and more powers. And we're continuing to see this trend continue, right, with the confluence now of higher power PoE standards, like the new emerging 90 watt 802.3 BT standard, coupled with LED lighting, creating literally the digital ceiling and transforming the buildings. So it creates these new requirements in many cases for the existing cable plant that was installed before these things even existed. And so we thought it was important to design in features like our true power loading. This is where we literally load all 4 pairs to 90 watts. Think of it as plugging a light bulb in and then measuring the voltage drop, and that we're truly getting the wattage that's required at the end point. It's like ensuring your car is going to start on the coldest of days. On the cloud side, a lot was going on there too. In 2014, we introduced the Link Sprinter, and really to achieve this size and price point, we created our first cloud service, Link Live Cloud Service, and this really advanced our knowledge in in the interactions that we could have between the handheld device and the cloud. A lot of education in security and scalability and reliability, and really what it meant for customers to trust us to hold their test data rather than having to round up their testers at the end of the day, plug them into USB and on a centralized PC and pull the results over to keep them on their C drive. Now all of our handheld testers report into the Link Live Cloud service.
Right. A couple years ago, you and I worked together on the Link Sprinter launch. And I remember at the time, one of my favorite stories to tell was some of the behind the scenes development stuff. Working so closely here at the R&D facility, it really was a phenomenal story. And the amount of transformation that we've gone through with a pocket-sized handheld network tester with Link Sprinter, the expansion to the cloud with Link Live, and now an Android-based network tester. These are really significant transformations. How did it feel for you to be the inventor driving that?
Oh, well, personally, probably a lot of apprehension. Are you taking the business down the right path? Comes top of mind. But for the engineering teams, a lot of daunting challenges. Right, there were so many risks and unknowns. We didn't know if we'd get apps to run out the copper or fiber port. Could we create a reliable product that wouldn't crash? Could we perform over-the-air updates without bricking the thing? How do we hold up to the inevitable comparisons to the rest of the mobile devices out there? Right, kind of hard to keep up with the Apples and the Samsungs of the world,
right.
And things like how do we mitigate boot time with a 4-day standby so it's effectively an instant on. For example, in that last example, we have 18 separate power supply rails in the product to control the various peripherals in stages of power up and down as they're used, and we go in and out of standby. But even more importantly, we took it a little bit further. We were the first product on the market to power and charge off of PoE. When you think about just the hassles in your life of keeping your mobile device charged, do you have the right AC adapter? Is there an outlet to plug it into? Is there clearance on that outlet? Does it have the right endpoint? Right, either the plug's proprietary, or it's USB-C or micro USB or Lightning. Just a lot going on there. So we made the LinkRunner G2 transparently power and charge as you work. We were so heads down on getting this feature done. I don't think it really struck us till recently. We had some units out for beta test for a couple months, and when the units came back, the batteries were 90% charged, but when we looked in the box, the AC adapter was still in its factory packaging. So that's when it really kind of struck us, what we had achieved. Yeah. So, it was just also fun in some ways to drive to embrace some of these mobile idioms like swiping and especially sharing, right? Sharing's a huge part of how we use our mobile devices. And so any textual information you see anywhere in the screen, anything you can normally cut or copy, or any screen capture, which is easy to grab, as Lisa demonstrated, you can share that right into your Link Live test results. So it really makes Link Live a single repository for all of your activities around network deployment, troubleshooting. Basically, your entire workflow can be captured in the single cloud repository. So, it's been I guess I'd say it's been a bittersweet journey. We had, for every uncertainty though, we could start to see industry trends or use models that were kind of turning in our direction. So, it'll be interesting to watch the next year or so. I don't think we fully understand the impact of the product and that we're in trying to transform the product line with Android. There's just so many unique customer use models and applications and technologies out there. So, mostly I think I'm just grateful to the NETSCOUT team. Really rose to the challenge. We created a rugged mobile platform. We added a state-of-the-art network tester, including the latest standards into it. We have an integrated cloud service and really the extended infrastructure, right? The teams that were able to allow us to commercialize this. So also, just incredibly grateful to the hundreds of thousands of customers over the past decades that have entrusted us to provide them with their portable network testers, right? I think we think of that trust every day. We try to bake it into every decision we make, and there's going to be a few bumps in the road, right? There's always is as an early adopter, trying to transform things, but we'll always try to make it right. So in the end, we get a lot of satisfaction out of just trying to delight our customers.
Yeah, that's incredible story.
Now let's take a look at the Android side of LinkRunner G2. This is what really sets it apart in setting a new paradigm for user workflow and productivity. So you've already learned that it supports both copper and fiber interfaces, as well as Wi-Fi and Bluetooth with the optional Etamax adapter. This is useful for not only connecting to the network when a hardware link isn't available, or connect Bluetooth peripherals such as keyboard, printer, headset, or connect to devices such as sensors and switches. But it's also useful from a troubleshooting perspective to simply be able to see what SSIDs are visible from a given location. While I'm here, I'm also going to show you the LinkRunner G2 has an integrated flashlight for task lighting, which comes in handy in dark closets or up in ceilings. Now let's get to apps. To access the NETSCOUT App Store, just click on the green arrow icon. Here you'll find a variety of free apps that you can download onto your LinkRunner G2 so you can customize it to your unique needs. If you don't see your favorite free app, just request it through LinkLive. We'll verify the app and put it on the store. Right now the apps are in list form, but we'll be adding categorization of the apps soon. Also, if your organization has their own APK, we'll also be adding support for those in the near future. Here I'm just paging through some apps to give you a feel for what's on the store. Just like your personal mobile device, as a way to organize the apps you've downloaded, you can set up multiple home screens and groups of apps. I've organized my main home screen into a typical troubleshooting workflow. I like to open all the apps in the order that I'll be using them so that I can just go to the app drawer, then swipe through the selected apps I want to use. If you happen to access a web service for a particular task rather than an app, use the onboard Chrome browser, and remember, you can connect to the network via wired or Wi-Fi. So in this case, I'm just going to go to the NETSCOUT website to give you the idea. Once you reach your destination, just click on Settings in the top right corner of your screen. Select Add to Home Screen, give it a name or take the default, and you'll notice it creates an icon right on my home screen. Now, whenever I want to access that website, I just click on the icon that's already on my home screen. In this workflow, I typically need to receive a trouble ticket, access documentation, which is sometimes through an app like the Cisco Technical Reference Guide, or an onboard PDF file. The LinkRunner G2 has a removable micro SD that I can load up with documents or instructional videos as well. Next, I need to validate the link. Then I might need to print a label, as I showed earlier. I might also want to do some other type of validation, such as a speed test or iPerf. Basically, you can set up the apps on your home screen in the order or workflow you follow. I have another home screen where I keep my favorite configuration and troubleshooting apps. Some I put into logical groupings, and some I just have on the page. A couple of the apps I want to highlight for you to get you thinking about the possibilities of how this platform could actually replace the laptop you lug around. Do you ever need to telnet or SSH into a switch? Connect a keyboard via USB or Bluetooth and run the terminal app? Do you have remote sites where problems come up that require an on-site visit to figure out? First, having LinkLive facilitates collaboration by allowing anyone who's been given access rights to view the test results as they're coming into the system, which might allow you to verify the issues and resolve it. However, if there's something else you might need to see, you can schedule, host, and screen share with WebEx or GoToMeeting right from your LinkRunner G2. I can go on and on about app usage, but you get the idea. The LinkRunner G2 network connectivity tester is sure to provide your organizations with the ability to become more efficient and productive in network connectivity testing, documentation, and deployment of IoT devices. Back to you, Kendall.
Thanks so much, Lisa. That was a really great deep dive into some of the applications available on LinkRunner G2 and how we can get the most use out of the product. I'm now back here again with James. We're going to be answering some of your questions live. So we've had a couple come in already that we're going to be going through, but I've got some folks in our control room feeding me questions live, so be sure to put questions down below or tweet them to us at NETSCOUT, and we'll be answering your questions. If we don't get to yours during the live broadcast, don't worry, we'll be sure to get to it today. We'll get back to you. The team is on deck for the rest of the day. Okay, so first let's start off with what is the battery life? You touched on this a little bit with it being able to run over PoE, but say a little bit more.
Yeah, standalone, if you're in a non-PoE environment, the battery life is about 4 hours, and we charge in about 2 hours. Of course, if you're testing around PoE, you're not only powering the device, but picking up charge, on the go. So in some cases, it's infinite battery life.
I like that. Okay, so we got one. Is there a provision for remote managing the G2 when connected through the network, something like VNC or RDP?
Yeah, well, we have VNC. It's of course, if we drop link, that you might have an issue connecting, but we have most of the popular conferencing apps already in our app store, such as WebEx and GoToMeeting and things like that.
Okay, great. Speaking of apps, we have another one. What is the storage capacity?
So we have about 8 gig of flash internal, but we also put an external user removable micro SD. So we ship with 8 gig there, so it's basically 16 gig. But micro SD allows you to put 64, 128 gig on there. This is a place where you can put you could put photos, you could put training videos, you could put PDF documents, or literally anything that you wanted out there, just so there's lots of storage space and user extensible.
Okay, great. You had briefly mentioned 802.3 BT a bit earlier, so we got a question, do we support that?
Yeah, so we have every intention of supporting it. The product is designed for it, but the standard has not been ratified yet, so we're a little bit reluctant to declare compliance to a standard that hasn't been finalized. However, we believe that when it is ratified in the spring, that we'll provide you with an update over the air. So it'll be fairly easy to just update your unit and suddenly have BT capability. As we ship, we support UPoE, which allows you to load your 4 pairs of cable up to 51 watts.
Great.
That'll go to 71 watts with 802.3 BT.
Okay, great. Wonderful. It looks like we had some folks that saw on the side of the screen. What's the USB capability?
USB, so we have 2 USB ports. We have on the top here, we have a full USB host port, full power. I've literally plugged 4-port expanders into there and run a keyboard, a mouse, a USB to serial console cable, right? Quite common in provisioning. There's a serial terminal app, so you can use the LinkRunner to provision any of your network elements that have a console port. Out the side, we have a USB on the go port. Right? That means that it can either be a host or a client. So you can plug it into your laptop and will look like a file system to move things back and forth to the device, or you can use it also to power and run anything that you want out there. Could be the label printer, keyboards, you name it.
Okay, great. Another one, will this Android version support TCP dump to flash card?
Not currently.
Okay.
So that's something we're looking at. We have a pretty rich roadmap for the product, it's on that list.
Okay, great. Does it support 10 gig?
Does not support 10 gig. We're 1 gig only. We're largely about access. In some cases, even looking at the like the Cisco digital building switches, they're 10100, right? Because they're high. There's a whole new class of things that are high power but low bandwidth, like ceiling lights and things like that. And so, but gigabit's just the workhorse that's going to drive enterprises and edge access for literally coming decade.
Okay. Someone asks, can I load my company's own APK?
Yeah, so we're starting out fairly conservatively. We have curated apps in our app store. We love apps from major manufacturers. I think when we started, Cisco had 3 or 4 apps. Now there's like 38 different Cisco apps. We allow you to submit in Link Live a request that we add an app to the store. We like to take a look at it first. And just provide. All you have to do is provide a URL to the Google Play Store. We actually at one point we said, we'd have people say, well, just put that Cisco app in there, or just put that HP app in there, or put that Axis, and there was always such a plethora of apps. We needed to literally have the URL for the app that you want, but in short order, we'll put it in the App Store.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Also on the roadmap in Link Live for organizations that have private apps that they've developed internally, will support uploading that app to make it available to the testers, but only the testers that are in your organization. So you'll be able to make your private app available on your units. Okay.
Great. Yeah, and we will have a capability to, like James was mentioning, submit any of your apps in your Link Live account. So for those of you who may already be Link Live users who are planning on getting the new piece of kit, you can check that out and submit some of those to us whenever you'd like, and then of course tweet them to us. So of course I'll be passing along all of those tweet entries to James and the development team throughout the week. So those will hopefully be considered for inclusion in the store as well. What fiber can it test, and do you need adapters?
Yeah, so we have an SFP port, so we support all the 1,000 base fiber standards, SX, LX, ZX. And while we sell SFPs, we don't control, we don't limit our usage to just our SFPs. So you can basically take any SFP that you have and plug it into the unit. There's also pretty extensive DDM, the diagnostic functions of the SFP, RX power, TX power, and things like that are displayed in the product, as well as just the identity and wavelength of the SFP. Sometimes it's really hard to read those on the labels of these things. You got them sitting in your drawer, but you plug it into the unit, and literally on the About screen, we then populate all the information: the SFP model, make, manufacturer, and wavelength.
That's great. One more. Can the USB and Bluetooth connections be used with other peripherals?
Yes, yeah. We use the Bluetooth to connect to Bose headphones, to speakers, to little IoT devices for provisioning things through Bluetooth. We use the Wi-Fi to connect to networks. It's not a heavy-duty test Wi-Fi connection, but this is sort of a convenience. Think of it as a coffee shop Wi-Fi connection. If you're sitting somewhere and you want to pull a job ticket or look at a website or something like that, that's what the Wi-Fi is about. Not deep dive Wi-Fi troubleshooting like as we do in the products like the AirCheck.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to end on just one more question. It's actually a question from me. I'm curious. I want to know. They're putting me on the spot here. We're live. I want to know what your favorite part of going through this development was. It's been a long road. We started talking about this a long time ago. I've heard a lot of stories from you, but I want to know what your favorite part has been.
I think it was about the time we got the second board cut back, and the hardware and software were firming up to the point where we actually believed we were going to be able to pull it off. Right, there was a lot of uncertainty. As I mentioned, just the apprehension of pulling the business unit down a path you're not sure is going to yield. So, at that moment there was some relief, and so that was probably my favorite part.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So with that, I think we're going to wrap for today on this live stream. Thank you all for joining. If we didn't get to your question, we certainly will before the end of the day. If you have more questions, if you're watching this afterwards on demand, or if another question strikes you, you can leave them in the comments below or tweet us at NETSCOUT. I'm going to give one more shout out for our Twitter contest going on this week. Let us know, what apps do you use most frequently to help improve your IT workflow? So some of those apps that you use every day or every week, we want to hear about them so we can include them in our store, as James mentioned. So tweet those to us, tagging at NETSCOUT, using the hashtag LinkRunner G2, and we'll be sure to get some feedback to our development team. If you have any questions, we're always here for you, but we encourage you to visit enterprise.netscout.com/LinkRunner G2 for more information. Thank you.